Hello. I'd like to begin by thanking the professors and the students at the Pontifical Athenaeum Regina Apostolorum for hosting this high-level conference and welcoming others from various institutions which continue to flourish despite the contraction which they've experienced over the past 2 years. I also thank the Acton Institute, your co-host, and Michael Severance, whom I first met when he was director of the English College's Villa Palazzola, and thank Michael for inviting me to deliver this special, though brief message. I'll take just a few minutes to update you on critical legislation in the UK in defence of life and human dignity, even in its final stages. And indeed, the reason I can't be with you in person in Rome is that these issues are literally still before the British Parliament, with the House of Lords in full session. But now, with your patience at the end of your long day 2 of the Symposium, Law and the Social Crisis, I'll try to unpack the current legislative battles and why the age-old combination of pressure and prayer are the right combination. Just 2 weeks ago, in a vote in the House of Lords, we successfully prevented assisted dying from being incorporated into the government's Health and Care Bill. For many of us, it seemed wholly inappropriate to place that amendment into a bill which carries the title Health and Care, requiring medics to end a patient's life as a funded National Health Service option, especially when palliative care, which serves 500,000 people annually, is so reliant on fundraising and charity. Well, it seemed like a fundamental change to the definition of both health and care. This surely has no place in such a bill. Many peers remain opposed to changing the law because of the risk to the safety of people with disabilities or incapacity. It also marks a paradigm shift when doctors and nurses are required to take the lives of their patients. Care and kill should never be used as synonyms. Assisted dying, assisted suicide, and euthanasia are all about criminal law, and it's not the right way to change criminal law by smuggling in this kind of provision into a health and care bill. Last October, we debated in the Lords a separate private members' assisted dying bill, and the House was almost equally divided, with 67 peers indicating dissent during their speeches. It's a highly complex and contested subject. In the past 20 years that I've been in the Lords, over the course of around 70 hours and 500,000 words have been spoken in the House. With one of those inquiries, there were 2 select committee inquiries looking at the issue, concluding that, and I quote, there was insufficient reason to weaken society's prohibition of intentional killing, which is the cornerstone of the law and social relationships, end of quote. The second inquiry sat for nearly 9 months. It cross-examined and questioned 150 expert witnesses in 4 different countries, and it received reams of written evidence. In a 3-volume report of about 1,000 pages, it highlighted many of the serious issues which have still got to be addressed, and in my view will never ever be capable of being properly settled. Yet, in the public domain, this is simply reduced to a matter of choice and autonomy, and polls are regularly published around those 2 things. Do you agree it's your right to choose, without looking at the complexities or the implications or the consequences of that kind of slogan? Proponents of euthanasia, assisted suicide, assisted dying say it will only ever be used in the most extreme circumstances, but we know that is simply not true. We know what's happened in other jurisdictions, like Holland, where they began with a little euthanasia and have ended up with thousands of deaths, and some for reasons of mental health or indeed treatable diseases. Our experience with early life issues, such as abortion, bears this out too. We began with abortion, with its champions saying it would be reserved for, simple, special cases. But there have now been a total of 10 million British abortions. 10 million British abortions. That's one on an average of every 3 minutes. And now we have a measure before Parliament to make permanent a COVID dispensation permitting home abortions. Doctors have pointed to the risks of this to women, to the inability to know the gestation of the child and the effects on children in the domestic setting who see their mother abort their baby sister or brother. Our law also permits abortion on a baby with a disability right up to and even during birth. 90% of all babies with Down syndrome in the UK now have their lives ended in eugenic abortions. And one thing, of course, leads to another. The 1990 Human Fertilization and Embryology legislation, on the back of the Abortion Act, has allowed several million human embryos to have been created and then destroyed in destructive experiments, even permitting scientists now to create animal-human hybrid embryos. So from the womb to the tomb, from conception to natural death, we will have to go on fighting for a consistent pro-life ethic to turn around these pieces of legislation that have been enacted in haste and for which we repent at leisure. We need a pro-life ethic in which both lives are seen to matter, that of the mother and the child, but also where medical ethics matter too, and above all, the dignity and the sanctity of every single human life is honoured and upheld. So thank you for listening. I look forward to being with you in person on a future occasion. Let's uphold one another in our defence of human life. I hope the rest of your conference goes very well.